If you thought that the Dominion lawsuit exposing Fox for lying to their viewers was going to give Tucker Carlson a change of heart and that maybe he'd start using his pretend news show to start telling the truth, well, think again. Because he was back at it last night, doing exactly what everyone with a brain expected that he would do with the exclusive access speaker in name only Kevin McCarthy gave him to 40,000 hours of January 6th footage. He cherry-picked that footage to find little clips showing benign moments from that day and used those clips to continue lying about January 6th. Just never forget that Tucker, along with most of the people whose names you know at Fox, admitted under oath in the Dominion lawsuit in those depositions that they never believed Trump's election lies. But Tucker and friends repeated them anyway on air. Tucker added to that, producing a conspiracy theory documentary lying about the insurrection. And last night, he portrayed the sacking of our Capitol as nothing but a peaceful gathering.
They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol.
That rather desperate attempt to own the libs, honestly, I don't think it was the own Tuckums thought it was. Not only do you have Republicans like North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis calling it BS, the Capitol Police Chief released a statement tearing into Tucker, saying the segment was filled with offensive and misleading conclusions about the attack. But in a way, Tucker has done us all a service because his trip down the Soviet propaganda wormhole has led to actual journalists asking more questions about that day. There's a video that he played that shows the QAnon shaman, Jacob Chansley, in his face paint Halloween costume being led through the Capitol by police, which begs the question, whatever happened to the cops who were seen taking selfies with insurrectionists? We know that 6 Capitol Police officers were disciplined after that day, but not what they were disciplined for. And since we actually can't hear the sound on that tape, we actually have no idea what those officers are saying to Chansley. Though we do know that the Capitol Police Chief defended them in his letter today, saying that what they were doing was de-escalation. And because Tucker's not an actual journalist, and Fox isn't really a news network, his producers didn't bother to ask the Capitol Police to comment or get answers to those questions. And if this was the way those 4 hours went down, all peaceful-like, why did officers from other jurisdictions have to respond to the Capitol to help? Why did some of the peaceful tourists plant pipe bombs at Democratic and Republican headquarters? And why weren't Capitol Police better staffed and better prepared to face a violent mob that day, when Trump and his people were literally tweeting that they were coming? Senator Ron Johnson, who ran with everybody else on January 6th, later lied, saying he didn't feel threatened because the mob was filled with Trump supporters. Well, is that why Capitol Police weren't more prepared? Because we saw what happened in 2020 during the Black Lives Matter protests. The preparation was not the same. Also, we don't know this from that video. We don't know what time those scenes that he's playing took place. Where are the timestamps? Was it hour 1? Because the whole insurrection lasted for 4 hours. That's why real news networks need to have those tapes too. Because what Tucker's doing here is feeding his hardcore viewers their feelings-based beliefs about that day, knowing that many of them didn't watch the January 6th hearings and have probably never seen the raw footage of the violence. Just like after the election, he is doing what he has to do to keep them buying his supply while gaslighting everyone else. He's telling millions of people who did watch the live coverage that day and saw the cops getting crushed in doors and beaten by protesters with flagpoles. No, you didn't actually see any of that. And the cops who got the crap beaten out of you, that didn't really happen to you. But here's the thing, Tucker. We did see it. And guess what? We've got tapes too.
Oh, I got the building. Hold.
Sergeant Dora. If we're moving, we need to move now.
Copy.
If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave. So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now.
They've gained access to the second floor, and I've got public about 5 feet from me down here below.
Okay, copy. They are on the second floor, moving in now. We may want to consider getting out and leaving now. Copy.
Second floor! couldn't believe my eyes. There were officers on the ground, you know, they were bleeding, they were throwing up, they were, you know, they had, I mean, I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood.
I remember like trying to retain my gun. I remember guys chanting, like kill him with his own gun. So like, yeah, I was tased, I think about a half dozen times on the back of my neck.
I want to let's get a snap of that.
Yeah, take a picture.
So, unless this was like a Westworld style simulation where the tourism is that you get to go wild on the police, that ain't peaceful. I mean, if it was peaceful, why were members of Congress in gas masks hiding on the chamber floors, including Republican Congressman Andrew Clyde, who later pulled a Fox and called the whole thing a normal tourist visit, despite there being pictures of him barricading the chamber door to keep the tourists from busting in? Remember the guy who broke into Speaker Pelosi's office and propped his feet on her desk? Does that normally come included with a Capitol tour? And if these people didn't do anything wrong, then why were more than 1,000 of them arrested on charges related to the attack? And why have so many of them pleaded guilty to crimes and gone to prison? For tourism? Again, Tucker testified under oath that he lies to his audience for money. Those were not sightseers. You weren't hallucinating. All of that violence really did happen. And pretending that it didn't is just straight up disrespectful to the men and women who risked their lives to save those lawmakers, Democrat and Republican, that day, not to mention our democracy. Sergeant Aquilino Gonell, one of the officers who battled the mob that day, posted this picture captioned, "My souvenir from the peaceful sightseeing mob." And the family of Officer Brian Sicknick, who died as a result of the insurrection, issued a scathing statement asking, what will it take to silence the lies from people like Carlson? What will it take to convince people that the January 6th insurrection was very real, was very violent, and that the event was orchestrated by a man who is every bit as corrupt and evil as Vladimir Putin? The Sicknick family would love nothing more than to have Brian back with us and to resume our normal lives. Fictitious news outlets like Fox and its rabid followers will not allow that. Every time the pain of that day seems to have ebbed a bit, organizations like Fox rip our wounds wide open again, and we are frankly sick of it. Leave us the hell alone.